Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. The acoustics seem finely tuned here today. It is a new moon that's going to unfold. New moon is always indicative of new beginnings, a new cycle. We are the Pleiadians. We are quite pleased to be here once again on the ridge, on the upper reaches of Nevada City in the technical foothills of the Sierra Nevada, gold country. Lots of legends, lots of stories, lots of participants. Of course, those who are attracted here have often been here before. It is true for your world today. And being that it is easy to travel around with credit cards, monies, transportations, you can walk in the footsteps of your multidimensional simultaneous selves. The trick is to figure out why you are going places, why you are doing what you are doing, and what the point is in the now. Welcome, friends, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You will become adjusted to us shortly. It is, thank you, Ludi, for the lovely gonging, getting everyone sort of warmed up there. We are going to deliver stories, words, lots of energy. As many of you are figuring out, you've been hearing about changes for years, and you are in it now up to your eyeballs. And there are many who have great plans to accelerate things, accelerate chaos and confusion. And even in the heavens, of where you can ideally figure out the celestial cosmic weather and how it affects you on Earth, in the heavens later this year, around a time you call Thanksgiving in the US of A, you're going to have the planet Saturn, which is all about karma and pruning, eliminating, getting rid of. Right now it is at 29 degrees Scorpio, so let's say everyone is in the frying pan. On your integrity, on your use of energy, sexuality, other people's monies, but most of all, you are in a very less than a week countdown of receiving a massive psychic inheritance. Saturn now is opposite the Pleiades, only a few more days. Lots of things are ending this summer right now. The next week, there will be big prunings and clippings, eliminations, separations, finishings. Then around the 19th, 20th, just prior to the autumn equinox, Saturn, the pruner, the one that brings you to your knees, the one full of karma, will move into the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of sports, religion, higher mind beliefs. At the same time, Neptune, the confuser, yes, Neptune the confuser, is going to make one of those 90-degree situations between Saturn and Neptune. You are in it now, and what you need to know, where you are being tested, is this. What's really real? And where are you kidding yourself? Where are you either in escapism, addiction, illusion, delusion, or denial? Because Saturn is going to test everyone, and this is one of the reasons that you are seeing more and more people losing it. Yes, a lot of this is this violence and these guns and shootings and all this stuff. These are false flag events that are set up by actors that are moved around. It's been going on a long time. Now, aside from that, and that creates fear and creates a desire for gun control, but these are minor issues really, folks. They distract you from using your own power. You never need guns and violence to get what you want. That is the lowest vibration of bang, bang, shoot, shoot, kill them, so I can then get what I want. But your influencing extraterrestrial gods taught you this. They play these games, and for millennia especially since the Great Flood, approximately 13,000 years ago, and the resettlement of Earth over the last 13,000 years. The gods have taken turns in rulership, they develop their armies, and then they get you humans in your own stupidity to fight other humans, but you are really fighting the gods' wars, because they fight over who is in charge, and they feed off of your energies, and they use you in a multiplicity of ways. Now, some of this is new for some of you, some of it is review for others. The point is this: you must take ownership of your mind, your body, your life, while you still have a good time. You must learn to enjoy life without wasting life, without investing and throwing away your mind day after day on things that your ego wants, rather than really making a difference in your own life, in the lives of those you love, in the immediate environment that you have. Too many people want to save the world, but they themselves are a mess. They forget to brush their teeth, shave, get a haircut, sit up straight, go shopping and buy some decent clothes. If you are a slob, how much of an impression can you make? Do you understand, people, how you are displacing yourself from true effectiveness of your mission? But what is your mission? Number one, you've been recycled many times. You live over and over again. You are alive now, and there are 7+ billion of you on the planet because big stuff is happening. Big stuff started happening, one could say, in about 1945, 70 years ago. Who remembers what occurred about 70 years ago? Hiroshima, yes, the bomb. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, 70 years. In 2 years, it will be 72 years. That sounds quite simplistic. But 72 years is a very, very important number in the mythology, in the counting of understanding the heavens. And it has long been a secret code. In China, for example, many of the temples or places in the Forbidden City would use the number 72. Why? Because 7 + 2 = 9. And 9 is considered to be the number of the supreme, the heavens, etc. The dragons own the number 9. You were earlier discussing who the dragons are. In the Eastern Hemisphere, the dragons are taken for granted as opposing factions. They fight each other. They are real. Yet, even though China had hundreds of thousands of depictions of dragons everywhere you cannot even imagine, modern China. They build huge, gigantic skyscrapers, and in the middle they cut out many stories and make a big hole. And there may be 10 stories wide, 10 stories high. It's for the dragon, if the dragon comes back, so it can fly through the hole. Western world, you would think that was crazy. Western world, you have forgotten a lot of the mythology that is going to be thrust in front of you. 72 years means a big key in the Anunnaki counting. And 2 years from now, you can bet, 72 years after your modern day atomic explosion, some other big thing is coming down. But even big things will occur this autumn. Cycles of time tend to trigger old simultaneous events. The Anunnaki have a belief system that past, present, and future periodically converge. According to their belief system, they felt that past, present, and future all embodied themselves in one location that they called Der, D-U-R, Der, which stood for bond, B-O-N-D. Der-On, A-N, A-N translates to heaven, and Ki. Ki was the consort of the great god Anu, and not related to Anu, a consort only, and became the father of one of your big influencers on the planet, a reptile, it appears, called Enki. And Earth was then named Ki. Der, bond, An, heaven, Ki, earth. Der An Ki was always where the Anunnaki had their mission control space portal. One could say it would be analogous to your Houstons. We have a problem, Houston. You understand this? You get the picture. A space portal. You were talking earlier about new space portals opening in Texas and Nevada. And attempt is called a SpaceX. How much more obvious could it be that the Anunnaki are here among you, recreating not only the space program, recreating not only delivering payloads of gold into space, but they are establishing Der An Ki, bond, heaven, earth, where they bring their technology. They bring wormholes, like CERN in Switzerland. And it is here, through this, that their beliefs are played out, and the repetitions of history are recreated for their own learning capacity. You are very close, dear friends, to recreating a series of prophesied events. And so our question to you is, you must ask yourself, what is prophecy? Many people have the ability to see into the future or to re-understand the past. Ideally, in the next few days, if you haven't cultivated, you will all go to a higher level of your own psychic understanding and expression of abilities. Everyone is psychic. If you don't have clear pictures, you have feelings. This is why many people are losing it now, because they are having premonitions and feelings that there's a lot of chaos and confusion ahead, and they don't know how to get through it. And the amygdala and its fear center kicks in, which is exactly a test of your own spiritual development. Can you manage your fear? Can you understand that you are in a time of spiritual growth, and everything that is happening around you is testing you on your clarity of how you are using your energy in this lifetime? And that this lifetime is relatively rare in terms of availability of opportunity and understanding, and the achievements of psychic attainment and understanding the cosmos that can come out of this now are threatening to the Anunnaki on some level. Yet on another level, there are branches of Anunnaki, Ninmah, the mother goddess, if you wanted to use that term. She wants to see growth and to stop the psychosis, the madness, the fights, the insanity, the ridiculous obsessions with sex, genetic engineering, and making creatures that are bizarre, mixing animals and human genes, and mixing up the living library, destroying the families, the genders. There are those who want to destroy you so that you can't, outsmart the Anunnaki, that you stop worshipping them, that you stop becoming, let's say, extensions of their psychosis. You're not going to bomb the Anunnaki out of existence. You're completely incapable of going to war against them. This is what your secret militaries are coming to the conclusion of, that it is consciousness and only consciousness that gets you through this. And it is Earth and its vibrancy that is needed, and the love that you have of Earth that will help you create paradise or bring the vibrancy again. So before we proceed, everyone think about California. The animals, the creatures, the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the wingeds, the trees, the things you can't see. Feel the sadness in the forest, the dryness. This is all technology, the misuse of technology that is attempting to destroy. And it is only successful because too many people forgot their own power, their own priorities. They're too afraid to speak up, to think. You've been distracted into your own extinction. Now send healing from the schoolhouse, waves of it. Green waves from your heart, green waves, green. Re-green California now. Start up here on the ridge and picture as if you had a palette of paintbrushes before you. Every shade of green you can imagine, a bit of yellow now and again, and a dash of blues just to deepen the greens. Repaint California green, starting from here. Let it ripple down, south, east, west, north. Picture it, want it. And then look up to the skies and picture the moisture, the rain coming down. And then reach out further in your mind. See if you can find the technology. The walls of electronics that some call harp, that work against the elements. Steer the weather to convince you that you are in some catastrophic state when actually you are on the cusp of awakening. All right, it's good work. All right, let's move along now. We've got you warmed up here. We want you to sit back and relax. We are going to throw a lot of energy at you. It would be a very good idea if each one of you now made an intention of what you want to get out of this weekend. Obviously, you want to be more flexible, you want to be wealthier, you want to be more euthanized, you want to make friends, you want to have a good time. These things are, of course, your responsibility to put in your field of what you are available for. So, that said, let's move into questions. We are going to ask you to speak very loud and clear, and ask something that everyone can benefit from. So who would like to begin this afternoon's discussion? It is titled, The Weekend, Impeccable Timing. Let's go for it. All right, Paul, there you have it. You got in the window.
Thank you for being here.
Good, and thank you for coming from that strong voice. What's your question, Paul?
Well, in this impeccable timing that we're in, so in the next short period of time, we may very well see Nibiru come through from the south. I mean, that's a possibility.
It is a distinct possibility, and there's lots of buzz around it.
Is there an agenda that the Anunnakis have at this time to do something? I mean, we've talked about it, to change our thinking, to impose more controls over our humanity. Is there a expansion of our consciousness that can break through this, that's also coming at the same time?
Yes, of course. This is what the game is about. It's not as if the barbarians are at the gates and you must go into siege mode and there's nothing you can do. Of course, understand that Nibiru, as it is technically named, is also known as the Destroyer, meaning that in its own storyline, it has created a lot of havoc in its own periodicity as it has entered your solar system. And so because of this cellular memory that Nibiru has left, people would panic if a comet appeared, because they were afraid the comet would be Nibiru. This is why in the Middle Ages you would see pictures of the comet passing and people cowering, because the memory was that some comets caused problems, but Nibiru often really upset the planetary equilibrium. It would also depend on where Earth and everything else was positioned, but we'll give you a few heads up on this. It looks like the great activities that were happening in the First World War and the Second World War were already being behind the scenes operated by Anunnaki, creating positioning. Obviously, the people involved in Hitler, World War II, you understand you had US players, you had European players, you had royalty, you had many who understood that Hitler was being financed by international people, many of which lived and visited on this ridge during the gold days. They got their monies, they dug up the gold, they financed a fanatic, and this fanatic was a front. The rest of the Nazis knew well and claimed that they were working with supermen that came from inside the earth. And of course these stories came out later, and the stories about ships and crafts and things, so much of it got revved up then. Then there was the race for the bomb. How did people suddenly get these ideas? You are recreating an Anunnaki story, and with their belief that time ends and repeats itself, and that cycles of events come around, they are pushing you towards the ending of an age by destroying things on Earth. So there would be a fresh start. New batches of people culled, reduced for the beginning of a regime change within the Anunnaki hierarchy. You must understand that they themselves are in turmoil. Understand you are one colony. Your solar system is part of their colonial empire, and there are what you would call rebellions, mutinies would be their term, in many of their colonies. And the colonies are seeded with Anunnaki, of course, genetic material, which would make you on Earth linked in unwittingly, but very telepathically connected to other Anunnaki colonies that are also in mutiny. So let's say the ping pong balls are all rising and they don't know what to do with it. And then you have separating factions within the Anunnaki fighting over how to handle all of this. It's very confusing, Paul. You get that, correct?
I do get that, thank you.
What else do you want to know? One more question.
I'll pass right now, thank you.
All right, to close out on what he said, yes, consciousness counts. Your thoughts have tremendous power, but you throw them away as if you roll down the car windows and throw $100 bills out. You're all wasting energy, way too much. Way too much. Yes, things are getting pretty severe. The last 5-6 months, all kinds of economic turmoil. The big people are pulling their money out faster and faster. It's inevitable that there's going to be some economic major changes. It's one way of dismantling people's power. Where's Christian?
Linda.
Linda, welcome.
Thank you. I have a question about protection, and it is personal, but I think other people, it may help others.
Good question, yes. Protection.
Yes. I believe that I was ritualized at the age of 7, everything changed, and I stopped wanting to be alive.
Yes. You're talking on a physical level.
I believe so. I don't have a memory. I'm not certain. But I stopped wanting to be alive at 7, and I've seen flashbacks of having my soul taken and reptilians and stuff. So I have this recurring PTSD, which affects my health. But I think more significantly, like I've been dealing with that, and I've become clairvoyant, and I've worked on that from my inside.
How How proficient are you now in being really clear about saying no to people?
I'm far better than I ever was. I'm sure I can be better.
This is the answer we were looking for, because this is your issue. Everyone who gets entity possession, traumatized through the dimensions, taken over, etc., whether it's physical, whether it's interdimensional, it is an accumulation. We'll let you continue in a moment, but it's lots of people's issue in the room. It is an accumulation of family pattern and soul pattern and your own practice that you don't mean what you say. You're an equivocator. And we are saying to you, we give you permission to say no. If you don't feel like doing it, simply say, you know, thank you so much, I'm not available for this. Oh, nice of you to think of me, I'm not going to take you up on this. You don't know how to say no, so everything comes in your field to push you, 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 until you get to the point many lifetimes from now when you say, I've had enough, get the blast off of me. How about saving yourself many lifetimes and starting now? Does that sound better?
Agreed, and I have. So it's
Stronger.
more of an energy level than a physical level.
Oh, yes, but still, that's where it really counts.
Absolutely it does. Yeah.
All right, continue.
So, more than just the attack that comes at me, I have noticed that it comes through other people, either through them or at them, to isolate me so that they suddenly channel something and they don't know it, or doctors or bosses suddenly don't like me. And I've been paying attention to this over time, and because it sounds a little crazy, but I've had actually a few friends now all agree that they feel like something pushing them away from me.
Yes, you have entity possession, and the entities isolate you, and they make certain that you are isolated. That way, it's classic entity possession. Gets the person in trouble, makes them sound stupid,
Yes.
or you appear to be a liar, or people say, what the heck is wrong with her?
Yes.
And this is entity possession again, because you have no boundaries, because you have not said no again and again and again and again. And this is you and many, many others out in the world and in this room. It's becoming more apparent, Saturn square Neptune, as to how much you are run by other beings. And of course, if you are afraid to make decisions, if you think you need a man, if you think you need a mother, if you think you need kids, if you think you can't make it without this and this and this, it weakens your energy field. Entities come in. They can, if you watch too much television, entity possession can come in. Funky sex, medication. Oh, medication lowers the vibration. If you're on meds, you're going to have entities. These entities are doing everything they can from the non-physical to attach to humans who are weak. And they want to confuse you, isolate you. That's their main signature. If that's the mild ones. The really bad ones will take you down the path of self-destruction. And that's usually addiction, raping, drugs, obliviousness, sexual addiction, all this stuff. So be grateful that you have mild ones that want to confuse you, but you have not taken ownership. That's your problem. Does that help you?
I understand, yeah. Can you...
We identify the problem, but you have to get through it, yes.
Which I have spent a lifetime on, yes. And I am Jupiter exact on my moon in Pisces, and I've got Neptune and Scorpio on my rising.
So Jupiter on your exact on your moon in Pisces. Pisces is the big troublemaker, and Neptune is in Pisces now, and Pisces is total confusion. Remember, when you drive through the fog, do the bright lights help you? No. When you are in the fog, which is Pisces, you can see just in front of you. Pisces and Libra are the two signs that have the greatest weakness. Libra, because it is indecisive, can't figure out who it is. Should I please everyone else or myself? Well, maybe this, maybe that. And then Pisces, it's the test at the end of the zodiac. Pisces has a difficulty telling the difference between self and others.
Yes, and I only shared that to point out that my belief is that as a soul, this is the role that I'm playing.
You've been working on this for a long time.
Yes, a very, very long time. Yes. Can you confirm anything about the stage 7 trauma? Because I don't have a memory of it.
We don't do personal things of this
Oh,
nature.
sure, I didn't mean to.
But we will say
Yes,
this.
I didn't mean to.
Your growing cycles of pressure for each of you happen every 7 years. So for a job that you would be in for decades, you would start from the date. In 7 years, you would be tested in your birth every 7 years, so 7, 14 and a half, 15, 21, 22, 28, 29. And then 7 keep going, 35, 42, 49. As you keep adding every 7 years, you are in some Saturnian grow up, test, karma situation. And so you fall into that time sequence of a traumatic karmic event occurring for you. Who else has questions?
Carl Saltonson.
Carl, loud and clear.
Question about the past and a question about the future.
All right.
I would like to, I was wondering if you have any input about the Tzynska event that happened in Siberia in 1908, and also, and for the future, will there be any effect, or what type of effect might happen to the planet if the magnetic pole reverses, possibly with the passing of Nibiru?
It depends. First of all, we'll back up a bit and we'll say that there are many futures that occur just as there are many nows that occur. And the globalists and the Anunnaki want to steer you into a one-world government, a one-world probability. Yet every time you make a decision, you are in a different probable reality. Now, so it's possible to have many probable outcomes of when Nibiru appears. It's not one given. You follow? Even though it looks as if you're on one physical solid world. The event that happened in 1918 was considered to be anomalous materials, as some were saying, but it could have many aspects to it. Sometimes there are space wars that occur that are covered up and called debris. The bottom line is this, is that there was some deflection that occurred from inside the earth that stopped some of the devastation from really shattering some of the timelines of Earth. And it was, let's say, in Siberia, and it was buffered. Another important thing to understand is that the Anunnaki have developed from long, long ago, not only the Middle East, Central America, South America, Mesopotamia, China, but they had much development in what you call Russia, especially Siberia, many minerals and things. And southern Siberia, around a place called Lake Baikal, deepest lake on Earth, big red flag, Anunnaki, Enki in particular, always makes his bases in lakes and waters, Lake Titicaca, Lake Baikal, and you have lots of bases here off California coast, many, 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 from Catalina all the way up. So there was more going on there, much more, and there are old missile launch sites, mining sites in Siberia. Now, you want to know about the pole shift. Your scientifics have seen that there is a creeping taking place, that the magnetic poles have been active, moving. Many are speculating there's going to be a pole shift. Let's say this, that when a renegade planet such as Nibiru, with its erratic orbit that is counter to the order of your solar system, when something such as this enters, even if it's hundreds of years out, its telepathic effect, its signature, its electromagnetic field, its detritus, all of this has a long-term, wide-ranging effect. And your scientifics have been seeing changes throughout your solar system for over 20 years. changes in atmospheric pressures, brightness, darkness. They know. And they can't understand to some extent how something could be so far and yet have such powerful effects. Think of the sun. Think of the galactic center. The sun is 93 million miles. Look what it does to you. You are in the time of a new science, an Anunnaki understanding. Yet they don't want you. They want to keep you from understanding what they know. So what would be the outcome, Carl? Many are prepping for destruction. You know, it's been said that the USA started disappearing monies right after this Nibiru was sighted in the early 1980s. It was conjectured through machineries by scientifics that it was there. Remember, the Sumerian texts were already translated, so they were looking. Secretly, of course. The secret society, Mason, the men in the secret groups who had to keep quiet, otherwise they get the death of the sinner, which is exceptionally unpleasant. So everyone's quiet. They're blackmailed. They have to keep quiet. Money starts disappearing in the USA by trillions. In the 1980s, they begin the underground construction. These are the buzzes, the hums, the weird things that you hear. Russia only started recently to do this. They are prepping their people. We'll see how all this comes down. There have been many archaeological discoveries all around the planet of widespread, extensive cities, underground, extensive, we would say, housing at least 50 to 100,000. That's somewhat mind-boggling to modern archaeologists. So we'll have to wait and see, Carl. It will depend on the kind of energy that your Earth is vibrating and which probability you are in. This is why we cannot emphasize this enough. Get with the program and get more aware. Take ownership of yourself, your Earth, and where you live. Get clear, people. You are saying, what do they want us to get clear about? What do we have to get clear about? You see, you don't even know what to get clear about. That's all right. We read your energies. If you don't know, laugh. Laugh, go back to nature, have picnics. It's safe, you understand? Be good to your loved ones. Make flower arrangements. It sounds simplistic, but you see, when you make beauty and you are satisfied with what you are taking ownership of the now. You are managing the energy rather than fretting. Fretting, worrying lowers the vibrations, fear lowers the vibrations, and in this way you feed the beings that we call RT Intel. And that is a little bit of a more friendly name than AI. Who has a question?
David has a question.
David, welcome.
Thank you. So, I have one who is...
Don't drop your voice, but don't shout. Louder, please.
I have one who is in search of, pursuit of the exalted self.
Of what?
The exalted self.
How about the practical self that pays the bills, that grooms the self, that gets from here to there with effortless?
Well, I'm using your terminology.
Yes, but we don't like when people utilize our terminology. Because we can use it, but it is... You are too far from it to understand it. But please continue.
Is it possible to disappear inadvertently through practices of yoga, meditation, unintentionally? Is it possible to raise our vibrations to the point where we disappear to the normal naked human eye?
But you said unwittingly.
Yes, unintentionally.
Is this really the most important question that you have?
Well, it's part of my process, my development, and it's part of my, I think as people...
You are wasting your time with this, in terms of what the immediate issues are. You're being really clear and politically incorrect. It's not an important issue about becoming invisible to raise your vibration. Raising your vibration means that you are smart enough to take care of what's immediately in front of you, not disappearing. If you want to disappear, then you need to go to India and sit in the cage with the hummus. They will teach you to disappear.
Yeah.
It's completely inappropriate. It is delusional. It is far too idealistic, and that is why we said, when you said you want to be the exalted self, we said mow the lawn, shovel the snow, wash the dishes, change the kitty litter, clean the toilet.
Yeah, these are all Western issues. I camp out. I don't live in houses.
Yes, that is why we said you need to be in India.
Yeah.
That you will get what you want in India, not here.
Yes.
You are escaping reality rather than dealing with it. Who has a question, please?
Sean.
Catherine.
Sean, welcome.
What is the quickest and easiest way to create consciousness?
Do you want to rethink that one? Because everything, consciousness is in everything. So you don't create consciousness, you create becoming more conscious, you create becoming more aware, but the easiest way to create consciousness, technically, grammatically, is a sentence that makes no sense. Catherine, we heard you call out, welcome.
Thank you.
How about asking a clear, important question here, because people, our eyes are closed, so we are completely just reading your energy. Let's hear it, Catherine.
Yes, with regard to the impeccable timing, one can't help but notice that the Pope is coming on the 22nd, I believe, to talk to the Congress, and the 23rd to talk to the UN. And
Or within that vicinity. And again, 23rd would be the equinox, and there's things going on. Go ahead, please.
so I know that for the traditional Catholics within the Vatican and the Catholic system, they feel like the Vatican has been taken over. And I've been very curious about what those dynamics might be. And
They feel as if the Vatican has been taken over by the heretical, dreaded Jesuits who are scientifics and who are looking for Jesus in space. Wonder where they got that idea. Probably read some of Mr. Sitchin or Anunnaki's work. Versus the traditional Catholics who cannot affiliate gods with visiting extraterrestrials. That's part of the stress. But you see, the Jesuits have moved in because they know that it's time to get rolling with the real story. So what is your question?
So I'm just wondering about this Pope and this agenda. It was a sudden takeover when he became the Pope, and what really is he going to be saying and revealing? I wonder what they're tuned into. I wonder what really is going on with this Pope, and what does he really want to say?
Well, basically, we have said that many of the world leaders are now between, what is your expression, a rock and a hard place or something. They are trapped. They are trapped in deceit. And we'll tell you something. Anytime you are deceitful or you massage your story to be bigger than it really is, it all gets popped and you get revealed. And so the world leaders are panicking, and they have been for the last 2 years. They're not getting along, and they need someone of credibility to announce to the world, we are not alone. This is what it's coming down to. And there's an agenda. And of course these Anunnakis have an agenda. One of their agendas, Paul brought that up, is to make more room for them and their creatures and their genetic experiments, and move the human element into corridors. This would be the beginning of this idealistic sort of thing that happened around 1990. People stupidly signed on for this Agenda 21. Ideally, we're going to change the world, all sing Kumbaya, but no one knows they're walking into the chicken factory, and you don't walk out of the chicken factory. You are packaged out. Just remember that. And you are all on your way to the chicken factory unless you wake up. Now, the Pope, the current fellow, he has been in tandem And if you remember some of your history that was brought out long ago, those who started digging into the rituals of Catholicism understood that there was a white pope and the visible cardinals, and then there was a organization in the Catholic Church that was hidden. It was called the Black Pope. And the Black Pope was always run by the Jesuits behind the scenes. Hence the reason that if you visit Italy, and particularly if you go to Rome, and you go to St. Peter's Square, which is really round, it's got Cleopatra's Eye of the Needle, her obelisk in the middle of it, surrounded by statues of the popes, and then there's the Basilica, built St. Peter's Basilica, and it's all black and white and game boards everywhere. This is to show you, again, that even in the Vatican, they had the visible white pope, who is now retired pope, and then parallel behind that you never heard of was the black pope. What they did is retire the white pope and put the black pope in the white pope's position. Just follow now, people? And the blacks were more the scientifics. And remember, they came out of about 1500, who was it, the whipper? Ignatius Loyola, yes, the self-flagellator. And what, it sounds ridiculous, but it's based on the idea of punishing the self, hitting the self, whipping the self, and throwing the self into trauma. And when you are in trauma, you either freak out and become dumber, or you become more psychic, and then you open yourself up, and the neural networks link up and you become in contact. They were all looking to contact the Anunnaki in any way they could. It was the obsession. This is what the Inquisition was all about. So yes, why is the Pope laying out a historical precedent? For the first time ever, a representative God is coming to the US Congress and going to address both houses of Congress, and then the next day go address the UN. They are going to speed up again a land grab situation. If you could hover now for a few minutes in your mind over the Mediterranean to see what a mess is going on in Italy, in Greece, in Bulgaria, in Hungary, up to Germany, migration, Syria. And this is all Anunnaki territory. Everyone's moving, everything is being discombobulated. Europe will never be the same after this year, next year's. Everyone is being revved up. And this is going to put a new agenda, a new monetary situation, and it will be something that will focus, who better than the Pope? He'll take the risk to announce it. And it's all going to be a big dog and pony show. Remember, you will be tested on your gullibility. So you have to learn how to watch, how to witness, how to take in new levels of data, and most of all, remember your big test for the next year and 1/2 is to know the difference between Saturn, karma, what's really real, and Neptune, what is an illusion. And the illusion, people will want to say, it's roses, oh, it's beautiful, look at. Take a sniff, it will smell like manure. If you allow yourself to really look. Because as you get smarter, let's say this way, as things become more complicated and confusing, and the factor of AI or RT intel suddenly pops up everywhere, and you start realizing you are watching and dealing with RT intels that are passing as humans. It's going to get very confusing, people. So the gift is to prep you for this. Expect it, welcome it, that you are getting smarter. Because the game is going to go on. You are right at that stage. What else, Catherine?
Thank you. Excuse me. I also have been wondering very much about prophecy, and that I know it's set up by the Anunnaki to basically predict their own story. But when I think about Edgar Casey, who always said that he was the reincarnation of Ra, and knowing that Marduk was Ra, then I'm wondering what is the Casey prophecy? What are these prophecies? You know, and
this is the issue. It will be the issue, and we'll spend a few moments on it. Then we'll go to Kali because we heard Kali speak. The cross always represents the planet of the crossing. It is not called the planet of the crossing until it comes close to your solar system and enters it. So when everyone starts about crossing and crosses, it's a sign to one another that it's here. You also know that over the years we have suggested that the word nuclear is a code for ET. Long been a code. A way that world governments can speak to one another in the media and about what's really going on. Now, the Jesus story, Jesus truly, folks, this may be a button pusher for you, but Jesus never existed in the way that the Catholic Church has coerced people into believing and has marketed this being. Even one of your popes around Renaissance area, one of the Leos, said, we've gotten so much great mileage out of this Jesus deception. All right? You take the pressure off of the now, blame the Leos, all right? So, that's 1500. They didn't decide the Jesus story truly and the whole biblical story until 325 AD. Yet zero, when time was reset, you ever reset the mileage in your clock or timers or what? So time was reset 2,000 years ago, plus or minus a decade or two, because it was the beginning of a new counting of time, which is called celestial time. And celestial time was devised by Anu, the emperor. We'll call Anu the emperor. But he is considered to be the God Almighty in heaven, the great God Anu. How did he get to be the great God of Nibiru? He won a wrestling match. That's what the records say. He won a wrestling match. And he wrestled Alalu. That's another story. So, Anu, the great God in heaven, he's the emperor of all things. He has his two sons, Enlil and Enki. You know the story. So then Enki is not legitimate heir. He's simply by consort. Enki has a son called Marduk. Marduk is born on Nibiru. So he has great stature. They all come to Earth. They have all these kids born on Earth. They're not as important. If you're born on Nibiru, you come from the place. So Marduk always felt that his father Enki, who was a genius, whose predilection is water, Enki is also known as Neptune. His half-brother Enlil would be known as Jehovah Yahweh. He's the God of the Christians, the Jews. Enlil ran Abraham. Abraham was a CIA agent for Enlil. Does that make sense? He was a secret service, sort of undercover agent for Enlil. You remember Abraham started 3 major religions with 3 different children, and it is those religions that all fight each other to this day in the old Anunnaki space portal of the Middle East. Starts to make sense. Once you know the story, it all comes together. So how do they run this? They know that they are going to recreate regime changes. Just as Charles is wondering, am I going to get it from the Queen? Is she going to kick out? Or is she going to skip me and give it to my maybe son, William? Yes, it's important to always, when you are looking at kings and queens, to say, who's your real daddy? It's very important. Now, now you are in basically what is called regime change. This is why all the turmoil is taking place. Marduk passed himself off 4,000 years ago as a Jesus figure. He was the son that was sacrificed, that was not allowed to be king, because he wasn't the legitimate heir. And so he set up, putting himself on the cross. He changed the name of Nibiru to Marduk when his age came around. He was responsible in 2024 for the nuclear war that happened in the Middle East. He was a byproduct of it. Actually, it was relatives of his and his cousin Ninurta and his son Nabu. They went at it. They nuked the Sinai. They nuked the Indus Valley, today Pakistan. They nuked, they've had fights everywhere. And then the winds came and they destroyed things. And Marduk felt that was his sign, I'm now in charge. To make it simple, he took on the Christ role. The ages changed about 2,000, 2,100 years later. You call it the age of Christ. He once again wanted control over this age, and he is once again announcing the second return, because he's the one nailed to the cross. He's the one that controls the cross, and he does not want to allow any of his siblings, his cousins, any others to gain control. So how does he fit with Ra? Now, Edgar Cayce claims that he was Amun-Ra in Egypt. Ra was Marduk in Egypt, and Ptah would be Enki. Enki, when Anu said, you kids are driving me crazy, you're fighting each other, you're nuking things, I'm going to divide the earth up. Here, Enki, Africa is yours. And the African people are yours, you have Africa. Enlil, you have Jerusalem, you have the Middle East. My granddaughter, great-granddaughter, who I've had the most delicious sex with, again and again, Inanna, will give you Pakistan and India. Enki ended up taking over China. Enlil ended up going into Russia. Ningish Zida, who is Thoth and Hermes. There were big wars in Egypt, and so they started to build again in Mexico, got taken over, invaded by dark energy. So this is what these beings do. Some of them are very enlightening. They want to help you. They're the master builders, master mathematicians. Enki is the genius of water. This is his forte. He builds the bases underground. He's built the irrigation systems around the planet. He understands, he is called Ea, which Earth is named after because of the water. So he is the commander of waters, and he is more retired now. And Marduk once again wants to reestablish his domicile on earth by claiming his father's age. His father Enki is the water pourer, the expert of water, and you are entering the age of Aquarius. It's not as if it's Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. It's not as demarcated. So this is why they fight. When is it my turn? Marduk does not want to give turns. He runs Hollywood. He runs cult, satanic, ritual, sexual abuse. He plays both parts. According to the black and white, the way they interpret it, do equal amounts of good to balance out the evil, to confuse the people. Does that help make sense, people? Yeah. A little. Kali, question.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
How do we learn to become multidimensional, to exist in the astral world and travel beyond the physical body, and what is the purpose of that?
How do you learn to become multidimensional? That's your question.
Yes.
You are multidimensional. It's not learning to become multidimensional, and you really don't need to travel into the astral. These are all very beginner sort of, lots of newbies here, idealies. You're too ideal. We'd say mow the lawn. You mow the lawn, you know, your multidimensional selves come in. You get out the clippers, you do yard work, you cultivate a garden, and the plants start talking to you. You start getting ideas. You go out at night, you look at the sky, you allow nature, and you make intentions. The answer to all people, for whatever your questions are, How do I become more conscious? How do I become invisible? If these are the things you want, you're wasting your time, but it's what you want, what you want. You make an intention, and your intentions are the power of thought and word coalesced into clarity. When you write your intentions down and you get up in the morning and you get a little piece of paper and you say, today is going to be an ultra magnificent day. I am going to tap into my multidimensional self. I'm going to become more consciously aware. I'm going to learn about the astral realms. And you really start focusing on what you want, and then you let it unfold. It's not as if you take lessons in these things. The answer is always to pay more attention to what is going on around you and to kick out and get rid of TV and any electronic devices. Now, the more you are going to use these devices, the more it's going to confuse you. Yet if you do too much dropping out, thinking, I don't like the world, I'm going to go live on the top of a mountain, for a week or two, a month, it's all right. But that's not where things are happening today. It's escapism. Your soul is challenged to figure out how to be in many worlds and to be fine within them. If you look at your houses, you look at how you dress. Some people like to wear moccasins all the time. Some people like to wear boots. Some people don't want shoes at all. They relate only to bare feet. So your clothes, your habits, the foods that you like, the way you prepare things, the colors you use, your decor, the artwork, everything around you is showing you how you are multidimensional and the other timelines that are connecting with your now. Your favorite movies, your favorite books. These are all indicators. If you have to have Chinese food every Friday, then while you're eating your Chinese food, it would be a good idea to say, hello, China. Is there anyone there? It's about a blossoming of the now and paying attention to what you are comfortable with and what you are not comfortable with, the things you want to run from. Oh, you can't get me to go to Guatemala, never in a million years. We better look to see what happened in Guatemala. You understand? Because if you've had a trauma, if you've been really confused or a violent death, you may want nothing to do with something, you may talk about it a lot. That's also an indicator of where you need to dig. So how does one go deeper with this? Body work, massage, we said nature, of course, and in nature here, nature you watch birds, you watch squirrels, you watch animals, it moves the eyes around and it stimulates growth, awareness. Body work, massage, rolfing, structural alignments. These are wonderful because a lot of memory and or trauma is stored in the body. So you want to open the body. The more you are hiding, the more you compact, you get tense. The native peoples do ceremonies for releasement, for prayers. There's a breath work is very, very important. It helps clear the emotional body. Many of you have emotional constipation. You're all blacked up. Then there is real constipation. Many of you are quite full of shit, too much of it, on the physical level, because you don't clean your colons. You don't flush the body. There's not enough hydration or literal cleansing of the colon, either through colonics or colon cleanses that release things that stay in there for a long time and keep you ignorant, lower frequency. Better eating is important for everyone, but if you're not grounded and if you think being a vegan is the way to go, we'll say this to you. Between Wi-Fi, which is Wi-Fi as you call it, we call it Wi-Fi, which is suicide. Cell phones are suicide. But between Wi-Fi, GMOs, chemtrails, and Fuku, you've got some big challenges ahead. And then Jupiter is in Virgo. So lots and lots and lots of people are going to become very, very sick. And then here in California, land of the free, home of the brave, people who want to do what they want are now going to enter forced mandatory vaccinations. And Vermont, the other California, is joining them. Whose Anunnaki plan is that? Is it the Kennedys or is it the Gates? Raising the vibration of all people, giving them vaccinations and computers.
Wow.
Can you tell the difference between takeover and humanitarianism? So, these are some ideas, people. Get on it. And then don't forget, have a good time. Laugh. Socialize. Because when you have a good time, you raise your vibration. Laughter, fun, real meaningful situations are what enhance the immune system. Worry, fear, deplete it faster than almost anything else. If you find yourself really wigged out, go lay on the ground, put a blanket on the ground, go have a picnic, even if it's by yourself. Bring a peanut butter sandwich and look over your shoulder, make sure the bears aren't ready to invade the picnic basket. Or who has a question?
David, I think you misunderstood me, and I want to clarify something.
We'll come back later. All right. Let's move around. Who has a question?
Well, you know, the thing is,
David, this is not how we conduct situation. You are already a little too...
I just asked the question, and I got misunderstood. I didn't ask you...
That's all right. How about listening?
Silent.
How about listening for a while?
Disappear. I asked you...
You are wanting more attention than we are willing to give you.
No, I'm only asking one question. I asked, does this happen naturally? That's all I asked. I'm not trying to get instructions on how to disappear. I said, do we raise our vibrations? Can that happen?
No,
naturally?
it cannot.
It cannot.
It cannot. Who has a question?
Natasha.
Natasha, welcome.
After a near-death experience, I became connected with the Pleiadians, who are just like the neatest friendship for me. I was curious if we are genetically predisposed to coming in contact with certain like light beings or aliens, as you call it, and why most of the country knows more about, say, the gray aliens or things of that nature rather than the loving, more light beings. If that makes sense.
Well, first of all, there's been a big invasion in your country by what you call gray aliens. They are basically organic robots that the Anunnaki use for abduction and DNA extraction and egg sperm extraction. So this is, of course, very prominent. And there's lots of genetic family connections. Of course, this is not a new thing. This has been going on for a long, long time. Why are there less good energies appearing to people, apparently, than there are frightful ones? First of all, the media is run by those who want to control you, so they are not invested in uplifting you. If they were, the media would not be advertising meds and promoting Jimmy Carter, who said, oh, I've got cancer, oh, I'm starting chemo in a minute after I finish this talk. That says to everyone, oh, see, as soon as you get cancer, go get chemo. Poison yourself, quicken your way out. You'll line someone's pockets. So your own stupidity as people, by watching too much television, weakening your vibration, and then thinking that that's information, you get sucked into something that is not informing you. So that's where. And then the radios are all invested in creating fear because they are not behind uplifting humans. And many of the people involved in these intelligence agencies and figuring out the Anunnaki, they're all operating on bang, bang, shoot 'em, or they're in fear. So it's your own initiation that shows you there's good ones out there. And the good ones that are out there, they're only going to be attracted to people who have good morality. Cheating, lying, stealing, and pornography, or sex just for sex, that doesn't draw any good entities. It draws what we call the funky ones. Not the dark ones, but the funky ones. So clean up your act and have a real strong moral code of what you are and are not available for, and that your integrity is spelled with all capital letters and you stand for what you stand for, you'll start getting the higher vibrations. That is the initiation of the soul, to choose the path of greatest goodness. And no one can force you to choose that path. Once you do, everything opens. And humanity is nowhere near that path because they want to default into materialism. And it's not that going and saving everyone else is the anti-materialism. You are being forced now thinking, oh, let's all take care of everyone else and we'll have socialized medicine and free this and free that. We'll tell you this. If you don't work for it and someone gave it to you and you want it for free, you're worth nothing. You have to earn everything you get. And the more, if you are a grandparent or a parent, and the more you give and give and give to kids, the less they earn. And if you are a kid and you've been given and given and given, you're still a little kid. If you didn't earn the money to buy your car, you're a little kid. If you didn't earn the money to put yourself through school, you're still a little kid, even if you are 50 years old. You get what we are saying, people?
Yeah.
Can you earn it yourself and make it happen by your willpower and managing the energy to fulfill what you want, or are you waiting for someone on the other side of the world to finance your delusional idea to save the world? Do it yourself. Because when you really have something, you attract to yourself the energy effortlessly to make it unfold. Who has a question?
Gwen.
Gwen, welcome, loud and clear.
Yes. Do the Pleiadians have a form, like a physical form, and what do they look like?
It's really not important to the immediacy of the problems that you are in right now. Truly. We are attempting to help you to get to a higher frequency, but the questions are not truly as imperative as the situation that you are in. The Pleiades are located 400 light years from you. We've had a long involvement with your Earth. Yes, some can take human form. We are not the only ones from the Pleiades. The Anunnaki have reached into the Pleiades. There's problems in the Pleiades. And just because someone says they are from the Pleiades, do not think they are we. Do not think that they are we. We, as a group, are only speaking through our vehicle so as not to create confusion. Lots of other beings will come in and they will say, hi, we are Pleiadians. And they are not Pleiadians at all. It's because you have weakened yourself to think, oh, we can trust Pleiadians. People, do not go by names. Go by energies. And understand that creatures can appear in human form and walk among you and convince you of anything. You need to smarten up and you need to trust what's in your belly and in your gut. And you need to drop down and say here, what is my gut feeling about this? But let's just give you a little heads up here. You may have to learn soon a few more survival techniques, and you may be dealing with a whole new set of priorities, not the ones you are focusing on right now. We have time for one more question. Ludi, yes.
Yeah, Pete, there's two things.
Raise the vibration, please.
All right. So first,
let's keep the level at the discourse of a high intellectual level. We've been doing this for 30 years, people. Don't expect us to go into a pre-kindergarten discussion. Please, Ludi, go ahead.
This is just on a practical level. In California, the Forest Service has made a quiet little deal with Nestle Corporation to get the water in the forest lands to Nestle. And this is just going around. I got it from one of the groups that alerts me to cell phones and the Wi-Fi stuff.
All right, we're going to give you a heads up on water. Water is Enki's territory. It is Neptune. You are 2/3 water on the planet, water everywhere, but the globalists, backed by the Anunnaki, realize that with water you can do many things. Water is the force of life, as you understand. There's a big movement now to poison the waters of California and to turn water into the new gold, not only in the USA but all around the world. And it's going to be like a movie that you saw long ago called Total Recall, where the people were herded into colonies on Mars, and do believe that there are people who have been taken off of Earth into colonies on Mars. It's already colonized and has been for a long time. Nonetheless, the issue of water. Water follows consciousness. Water responds to your consciousness, and you as a people have forgotten to love your waters. That's really what it comes down to. Nestle has long been a corporation run by who knows whom. Corporations aren't run by anyone. They are usually alien-based to do genetic manipulations among people for experimentations and to keep you in a lower state. All right? So there are big problems coming down the pike. It has been reported that organizations like Halliburton, they were behind the Deep Horizon debacle in the Gulf in 2010. It is reported that they are behind some of these poisoning, purposeful poisoning, taking over of the waters to deprive you humans, to empty California, and to force people into smart cities. People, say your prayers, offer your generosity, use your consciousness. Do not act as if you are not there and you don't have it. You already have it. And if you think you don't have it, go sit on a rock and watch the sun rise from sunset and ask the sun to wake you up, and don't be afraid of it. Find and dig into the deepest part of your own brilliance and integrity. And out of your own generosity, continue every day to bless your life and to bless the earth, especially the waters. So, drinks good water. Yes, Lou, do you have another part?
Well, yeah, there was just I wanted to, like you said, raise it. So I think maybe later on today, when the time is right, we could use, we could do tonings, or we could do a group sounding to the effect of, in this local area at least, maybe expanding out from here to bring a good soaker to this area.
Well, actually, we'll say goodbye to the CD, and right now we will do a quick toning. Stand up, Ludi, and lead everyone, if you would, quickly. And we are going to do a toning. You're going to picture the elements coming together and bringing rain and more rain and more rain. Ludi will lead you in some AEIOUs, about 5 minutes, no more, of some deep soul, land, energy connection. Go for it, Ludi.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Feel the energies that you have just participated in. Lots of the questions that you have, friends, are all about paying attention to energy and where you are focused, how you are using it, how you are feeling, and what is going on in the immediate environment. Part of your impeccable timing and learning how to be even better at being in the right place at the right time is setting things into motion with clarity, which can take seconds. You don't have to write out intentions for hours, but you do have to know what you want and where you are going. And you do have to disengage from your childlike investments in Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. Except you project that into the cosmos, onto Great White Brotherhood and, or religious figures or second comings. We have a message for you, and we've had the same message from the very beginning. No one is going to save you. This is not about saving you. This entire process that you are in the timeline in which you have auspiciously found yourself, is all about self-realization, self-recognition. How do I use my energy that is the energy of Prime Creator? And what vast multi-dimensional mystery drama am I engaged in where all participants, even those who appear to be not interested at all, that we are all here to learn something very big. Otherwise, why would 7+ billion people be on the planet? Now, Saturn, as we've said, is doing some snipping and pruning and giving you some big realizations. This is a good time to let go of childlike behavior, of childlike beliefs, of things that hold no value. In the cosmos, there are many teachings, many levels of symbolic understanding. And this is imbued in what some call astrology. Astronomy is known as, look, there is Mars. Astrology says, yes, there is Mars, and here is what its position means just now. Recognition versus effects, interpretation. So it is important to understand that within this setup of energies, you have complete free will, as we've said, to take the middle road, the low road, the high road. It's your thinking, your beliefs, and how you choose to move through life that is usually a combination and an extension of many lifetimes. And always you are here with issues to work out, and you can either claim victimhood, woe is me, others did it, or somehow I'm mucked up, or I'm responsible, or this happened and I turned it into this to benefit me. This is self-realization and self-responsibility. This is what will bump your DNA up. This is what we are calling Enki's gift, Enki being, as you know, the first son in the Anunnaki hierarchy, Ea, and commander master of waters. And it is understood he is the Aquarian water pourer. He brings water to life, and you are entering his domicile now. Learning how to understand water also being the emotional self. So just as everything is about to change, there's a big necessity for each of you to make an assessment, especially prior to the spring, the autumn equinox. What have you believed about yourself, about the world, about people, family, friends, the opposite sex, the living library, plants, animals, that you now know probably is not true, that could have a bigger picture to it. This is the stage you are at, the ending of a way of looking at things. And you are on the precipice as a people on earth, not just people in this room. You are on the precipice of having your Sagittarius outlook pruned, brought back down to earth, so that you can really understand a new picture of the cosmos. That's important to understand. People who are new to what is transpiring, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. If it's confusing and does not lead to personal empowerment, then throw it out. You are, each of you, creators of your own reality. You either create by intention. I am going to have a great zippity-doo-dah day. Here comes Mr. Sunshine. It's shining on my life, etc. Or you can take the Nashville route. Woe is me. I've been trampled on and thrown out to the pasture. Woe is me. Victimhood. But if you take the path of empowerment simply by singing zippity-doo-dah or humming it every day, This can condition the space. Once you start on the little things of I'm going to have a good day, then you can unfold to bigger things. You are creators. By default, by manipulation, or by clear intent. And you are about to enter a period as a people where if you are easily tricked, and if you are not at the top of your game, between arty intel, very sophisticated technology, and probable returns of Nibiru and other things, you will easily be confused and deceived. This is a test, and it will be ongoing for a number of years. Be aware of it. Make intention that you will be clear, that you will effortlessly move through this time that is what we call much, much more than interesting. Much, much more than interesting. All right, so let's move to meaningful, brilliant, well thought out, well intended questions.
Summer.
Summer, welcome.
I have a question about working with dragons and
what does that mean to you, working with dragons?
Working with dragons. A few years ago, I intended in one of my moon papers to invite and attract beneficial, benevolent, wise dragon beings to be my friends and teachers.
All right, so you set into motion by intention calling in dragon energy that would be beneficent and be your teachers.
Yes.
That's clear, yes.
And so
Brave.
In the last couple of years, I've had the experience, usually after intense meditation, yoga, or dancing, of having a dragon consciousness come in through me. And it feels really interesting and wonderful and beneficial. And at the same time, there are times when I question, is this folly? Am I being
foolhardy?
Yes. And so I just wanted to share that in case anyone else is having this experience.
Let's comment on this. Sama has been a student for a number of many years of our work, so she is, as we said, brave. She does know what she's doing to a large extent. She's not a newbie, even though you all are newbies to energies. The dragons do exist. They are a form. They are projected onto your world in many, many ways. You have lines that are called dragons. You have, in China, the emperor is considered to be the representative of the dragon on earth, sort of like the Pope is the representative of God on earth. How did two opposite sides of the world come up with this copycat kind of situations? Fascinating. It's a wonder your archaeologists haven't fixated on it and figured it out. But nonetheless. So the dragons are a part of the, let's say, world mythology. Do reptilian beings exist that would be bipedal reptiles? Yes, they do. And when you call in certain energies, understand that if you are clear about what you want and with your intention, you are sort of playing ambassador. But if you do not know what you are doing, be careful. You learn through your curiosity. This is to be encouraged. But the curiosity can also get you in big trouble. Just remember that. And don't think you are Miss or Miss Smarty Pants, making yourself take big risks when you don't know what's going on, because as our vehicle said, there's more activity around between the astral realms and around the area of Earth than there were 3-4 decades ago. So develop a dialogue and see what you can learn. Sometimes people say to us, I see blinking lights. I sense a presence around me. I see things in the sky. They show up. So what do I do, please? We said, say hello. Instead of sitting there with your mouth open, catching flies, say hello. Then see what says hello back. And always have clear intentions that you are going to notice and know if you are dealing with mischief makers, because they are going to get you in trouble, or they are going to confuse you and just sort of play with you. And they will make up false lies and say, oh, you are King Tut, as our vehicle said. So, and then if you get some real ones, say, listen, don't waste my time. If you have something good to tell me, who are you? How would you like to improve my life? And what is it this I need to know? Do not fall for flattery, friends, into the invisible realms. At some point, you will become much more adept with it. But your adept abilities with the non-physical realms are diminished the more electronically oriented you are. That's how it goes. In many capacities, watching the carrots grow develops new neural networks. How exciting. Yes, but that's how it works. Because you are an extension of the program of nature. Who has a question?
Nika?
Nika, loud and clear. Are you the lady who wants to know what California karma is?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So why is California in such big trouble? Because it is standing out. It was considered to be the golden state. The lands turned gold. The gold was dug up out of the ground. It would be very much then an Anunnaki colony, gold, etc. And you had basically the introduction of the aerospace industry, which would be Anunnaki types of technology, building, re-establishing their ground base for Earth to heaven, missile, moon, Mars, Nibiru contact. Your entire space industry came out of Nazi Germany, and it is in California and other places that many dark secrets were utilized, and lots of, let's say, black magic was utilized at what you would call JPL, JLP, one of those letters, yes. That jet propulsions had some, Ludi knows the story, the old occult rock and rollers, yes? Yeah. What was it? Rocket, drugs, and sex, and occult stuff there. Big stuff. And then you have the cinema. The cinema is Neptunian. The cinema takes you into the world of fantasy. It takes you into the world of pictures. One could recognize that the height of success occurred with cinema victory over the human mind through the introduction of what's called Walt Disney. If you look at the logo of the mouse and Walt Disney's signature, many have found the signature of the number 666 embedded into Walt Disney's signature. The number 666, some say it's tied to Revelations and the mark of the beast, but 6 is always related to the counting of the Anunnaki system. They are very big on 6. So 666, 60 is Anu's number. And 6 is a code for the Anunnaki presence and their ability to manage and manipulate your reality, so that through cinema you are programmed. Through cinema you no longer have to be encouraged to go to war. The pictures are before you and you're programmed to go to war. It cut the Anunnaki work way down. And then people stopped imagining and creating. And they convinced themselves as they sat and looked at the screen that they were smarter and smarter. You get the picture? Mm-hmm. So it is California that was the home of much of this. And then many dark things happened in California. You have a place at the coast there, it is called Presidio or some such lots of mind control manipulations. The universities, UC of LA, lots of dark manipulation, mind control, MK Ultra, all along the coast of Southern California. Oops, here they come. They're attempting to race our minds. Fountain up, everyone. Fountain them up there. They are wanting to put control frequencies over us. It is for mystery landers out there. The helicopters are flying over. So, California has seduced itself to some extent and into pleasure, too much liberalism, too much let's do it because we can without thinking it through. And on some level, it's gotten out of control. Also, to the globalist, it is a threat. There's lots of food here. There's lots of free thinkers. There's lots of innovators. Lots of people know how to live off the land. And, of course, you are big for the world economy, and California supplies lots of food. So it's a threat on many levels. It comes from many different directions. As a warning, we will say this. It was good work this morning to do the gonging, the toning, the picturing for the rain. Keep picturing and calling in the natural elements. Understand that there's no artificial intelligence, no matter how super-duped it is, unto even something beyond quantum computing is going to out-compute the living library, the program of it, and the occupants. And there are many, many, many who protect the library, but they're not going to save you. You have to demonstrate some smarts. The animals are smart enough to migrate into probable realities where they are sustained. Again, there are many futures, many nows. Which one do you want to end up in? And will you work with the library and learn how to work with the elements? Or will you fall prey to the invasion of machines? You know, our vehicle started to tell you, and perhaps she got distracted, but after the introduction of the Jade Helm exercises, Jade at the helm, of seeing how artificial intelligence could determine the control of the human domain, the 1,000, we believe, more than 1,000 technocrats, they called themselves, and they were headed by some of the big names there. Who would they be headed by?
One was Elon Musk. The other one was...
Perhaps Elon, the Hawking fellow, yes. And there was another fellow that was originator of Microsoft or something. Wojcicki or something like this. So they get together while Jade Helm is going on, while the public has no idea what Jade Helm is all about. And they make a pronouncement, a little teeny article, 1,000 technocrats plus these big chess players. They say, we are absolutely, completely, and totally opposed, and we must forbid autonomous military robots. Now, do you think the large amount of football watchers, basketball watchers, and time wasters said, what? You mean there's Terminators among us? No. NFL smashing, 20,000 men killing each other, smashing each other is where people are more focused. People, they are among you. And even your scientifics are scared. You know why they're scared? Because each one made a nut and a bolt. And they had no idea that their nut, their bolt, their wire was creating robots who are going to run your world, who are going to suck your energy, and who will overrun you exactly as the Terminator movies indicated. All movies are introduction to the probable realities that you are facing. It is called revelation of the method, and it is how other beings create your reality for you. You sit there and you are entertained about the futures that you will participate in. Think about it, people. You understand now California karma? Mm-hmm. Good. Who has a question?
Lori.
Laurie, welcome, loud and clear. Impress us with your brilliance. Now it's on her. Go ahead.
Is there anything that we can do to help end geoengineering, chemtrails, and Monsanto?
Well, of course. Of course there are. First of all, many people have found good success with using their intention to move up into the skies to clear them. You have a lot of power by sitting back and using your mind. Think of your third eye as a blue light special. Do, where do you want to focus it? What intention do you put behind it? It takes practice. It's deep stuff. The geoengineering is about, truly, they have been distributing little particles for many decades now. Many people, it's still big news to them, because they are so dumbed down, looking down, they have no idea that they are breathing in not only barium and aluminium and various other substances, but you're also breathing in nanobots. So everyone has breathed in the nanobots that are being sprayed through as it's called, geoengineering. They are telling you, oh, we're going to block out the sun to prevent global warming. It is the sun that delivers information. So whether they tell you they are blocking the sun by chemtrails or that slather yourself with the SPFers or whatever they are called, someone does not want you to be healthy and to get information from the sun. Think. Put your bikini on, slather yourself with some coconut oil, and go out to the sun and say, light me up. Don't be afraid of it, you understand? Get rid of this I'm going to get cancer idea. That's all negative programming. Now, if you are lily white and more and you come from Norway and you are north of the Antarctic, you're going to have a little bit of mind over genetic programming if you are that white. But in general, the body will start to bring out the melanin and help boost up the vitamin D. So that you want to heal. Now, breathing in nanobots. We shared this with an audience recently, and we could sense their anxiety building. They were thinking, goodness gracious, I must for certain by now have a cell phone tower inside of me. Relax. You do have towers inside of you, antennas, but they aren't small. This is the purpose of the spraying. Not only to block out the sun so that you would then breathe in these particles and not get information and the energy from the sun, but also the little tiny particles that are also in all medications. So if you are on prescription medications from 1992 onward, or had taken them for a while, you would be subjected to the experiment of having nanobots inside of you. And it is the antennas outside and the internet and TV programs, especially these high D, whatever they are called, flat screen TVs. They are very powerful. They work with you when they are off, unplugged, everything. Get them out of your houses. Out. Out, out, out. Because they can be used on a remote level to set up the antenna inside and to drive people remotely. It is important to understand around the year 1976, for some of you that was dinosaur era, 1976, patents were issued for remote control of human behavior. Do the math. 24 plus 15. It's old technology. How do you get so many nutcases out there shooting, killing, jumping, biting, eating, doing crazy stuff? Lots of them are on meds. Lots of them already have loose screws. You have all kinds of people possessed. Today you call it multiple personality, bipolar, manic depressive. This is all not being in the body, letting other entities come in, and then the antennas there drives the person to do something stupid, and then remote control behavior. And it's run by satellites. So, of course, this is frightening because everyone's got it by now if you've been breathing. You get it? Now, these antennas are not going to be able to be utilized to manipulate you if you are fully present in your body, not running from your feelings, doing funky stuff, and pretending to be something other than you are. The more you take ownership, the more you Virgo up, Again, grooming, groundedness, clarity of mind, taking care of all things, low level on the clutter meter. The more you Virgo up, it's going to be to your benefit. And these antennas don't work because your consciousness supersedes the control of the machines. This is sort of the worldwide game that you are on. Is Hollywood going to play this story out? No, because it would be too much close to the truth. And the humans can't win. They're supposed to turn into zombies. And what's the big push for the Walking Dead and the zombies? We'll tell you what it is. It's a metaphor for what's in the astral around you. It's literally true. These creatures are sucking you dry from the astral. This is why more and more people are feeling drained. They're not vital. They're more exhausted. Because you are wasting your time and you are not recharging yourself. Sometimes you are living for others, kids, parents, ideals, people. Demonstrate that you care about yourself. Love yourself, don't look for love outside yourself. Take better care of yourself, otherwise lots of people are going to be exiting in the next year. Lots. Who else has a question, comment, insight? Yes, who is it?
Jen.
Jen.
For the past...
Welcome.
Hi. For many years being on the spiritual path, I've always heard that we all have chosen to be here at this time. That we've chosen to be here at this time on the planet Earth. And so...
to a large extent, you have volition to choose who you are and where you are and when you pop out, let's say. But there are many that are recycled without a lot of choice, though they might think they have it. Please continue.
So my question was, with that in mind, with so many people wanting to be here, or so many beings wanting to be here, how did we win the lottery so that we are here? What did we do to get there? And since we are here, is our...
everything we've been telling you all day is about what to do with being here. There's no magic bullet. Take ownership, live a great life, be aware, use the body and honor the earth. This is really, otherwise the others are going to take it over. You're going to find yourself locked in a smart grid where they'll decide when to give you air and when not. You must be more valuable to your biological organic presence. That is the answer.
So is it our purpose, like everyone is always asking, what is my purpose for being here? So our purpose then to be here is to be here, to be pure.
To become more aware.
Become more aware and to help the vibration of the planet so that we can change it.
Listen, it's a good summation. And if you've ever been to other parts of the world, perhaps where they are not so fortunate as the US of A, you may see people living in great poverty, just a wide variety of things. Everyone is here to be more aware. And for some people, it's going to be 1/1000th of a centimeter. And that's all their soul can take. For others, they're going to fly to the galactic center and back. So everyone's here because the buzz in the cosmos is that at the end of the nano and end of nano, everything sort of is going to come to big coalition and happen. And so there's an opportunity for all the people present, even if they don't do anything themselves, to benefit from the big shifts of awareness, realizations, and energy. Now understand, over the next year, as you have to deal with the understanding that the gods that everyone prays to, that they devote their lives to and they go to war to, that they're just screwed up beings from the heavens. It's going to be a big pill to swallow. A big dose of cod liver oil. But you know what cod liver oil does. And if you've forgotten, we'll tell you. Their ancestors took cod liver oil to clean themselves out. There you have it. You get what that means. So it's a big clean out that's coming, and it will free everyone. Not everyone will like it. A lot of people will deny it. There will be wars, there will be anger, and you have the probability of what the Anunnaki predicted. And again, they make their prophecies, then they live long enough to fulfill their own prophecies. It's just like a parent saying, if you are really good now, next summer I will take you to wherever. The kid says, wow, that's a long ways away. I can't even picture that. You understand? So, the Anunnaki are here to fulfill their own prophecies, and we'll give you a bit of summation of what their prophecies are calling for. The repetition of the cycle, that is revving up the religious people, the military people. This is why it is flipped to Jade Hell, to have no emotionality. There's deep concern that according to the prophecies, the country called Persia would then rise to attain Anunnaki status of having the nuclear ability, and that Persia would be behind the destruction of Armageddon, a city that is between Baalbek, Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. Guess where everything is all revved up now? So this is why people are very concerned, because you are closing in on things occurring, and the Anunnaki like to fulfill their own prophecies. If they can get nuclear bombs to start up from Persia into Armageddon in 2 years to fulfill the 72-year countdown, they would feel victorious in recreating regime change. This is part of the scrambling that the human players, the human puppets of the Anunnaki, popes, priests, presidents, etc., are attempting to lay out for humankind. Lots to consider, lots to think about. Our question to you is, which probability do you want to be in? The best laid plans always can be tumbled by consciousness. You vote by saying, I'm not going to participate in that. I didn't come here to be available for that. Let's find another prob, please. That's your power. The decision in any moment to truly set into motion a new vision of how it can work out, if you can have the wits about you to clearly decree these kinds of things again and again. Now, out of the 7+ billion who are here for the big happening, which would be an Anunnaki regime shift, perhaps engaged in nuclear war and return of gods walking on earth, and these gods are going to be big. They have technology that are thousands and thousands of years in advancement of you. They perhaps will come off as big healers. We'll help you, we'll raise your vibration, we'll fix you, etc. But they are deceivers. They are deceivers. And back to a question that was raised earlier about Edgar Cayce being raw, Edgar Cayce giving healing data and medical data and lifting people up. It was all legitimate. But also Edgar Cayce promoted the worshipping of Christ. And if Marduk is Christ, then of course Marduk is going to get extensions of himself to sing his song. You get it? Now, you are involved in some manner of a multidimensional game of consciousness. You are players, you have free will, you are manipulated. You are manipulated, you are moved. The dumber you are, the less interesting you are. The more you start to light up, the more they're going to trick you until you have definitive boundaries and you own more of yourself. The game is about to go to an exceptionally intense level. If you think you know what's going on, we guarantee you don't, no matter how long you've been in this. It's that complex ahead. If you are new, listen. It's not that we don't want to hear from you. We want to have time to really reinforce what is needed in you so that you can have clarity of mind and enjoy an expansion of consciousness. That is why you are here. Then as you figure things out, it's in your field, it's telepathed, and you make the way for others to think, to feel, and you give them courage without sending faxes and typing texts and things of this nature. Who has a question?
Carl.
Who is it?
Carl.
Carl. It sounded like a bark there, loud and clear.
Sometimes I'm dealing with distracted people and trying to come up with, like, you know, and trying to interact with them.
Trying is a very disempowering word to use. Trying implies failure. So when you start to say, you said it twice already, I'm trying, it's totally ineffective. So first of all, everyone, this is a newbie thing. Banish the words trying from your vocabulary. No trying, guilt, worry, should, doubt. If you speak in those terms, then you lose the effectiveness of your intentions and the power of using words to set things into motion. Now, thank you for saying that, because it allowed us to give the lecture. How would you now ask us the question again, please?
When interacting with distracted people and conveying thoughtful interaction, trying to engage.
No trying.
Sorry, engaging with them.
Good.
With mind-provoking
ideas.
Discussions and ideas. I quite often sense a physical pain. It's like they're experiencing a physical pain from talking about topics that are beyond their normal distraction.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, okay, continue.
Oh, and so my question is there any way that I can help them?
No.
Not?
No. This is part of the painful part, Carl, of moving into higher states of consciousness. You are not here to save them. Unless you decide to become an educator and they pay to hear you, forget them. It's not that they are out of your life, but as you all raise your level of awareness, do not glamorize and put crowns on others that are nowhere near the level of understanding that you have. This is a realization of a real assessment. And as you start to unfold, there's definitely going to be people that don't want to hear it, they're frightened, they shut down. So congratulations on intuiting this, that you are already picking up their discomfort with your comfort of probing difficult situations. That's good. And you're going to have to get really clear about, wow, I never thought so-and-so would be so stuck or so flatline about important subjects. Then you make the assessment, no judgment, and you let them go. You may see them once in a while, but as you grow in consciousness, people, why would you be spending time with people who lower it? Be an inspiration. And if you are a little bit lonely and a loss of people, this is part of the process. This is why people don't want to go into higher states of consciousness, because you lose friends very quickly. Why? Because you're not doing stupid things anymore. So you raise your standard, you attract a new set of friends, you say, higher self, great spirit, all that is, creator, I am a creator, I want to draw more intelligent people that operate on this level of let's do something, let's raise the dialogue, let's work with energy, let's be responsible. It's a process, Carl, and you're sort of caught between it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Most important for you is to eliminate that word trying, because it has stopped you in many things that you do. We read it in your energy field, so snip it. And everyone know that you are having a snipping now, and you are leaving 29 degrees Saturn, a lot of people behind in the next few weeks that just don't want to go further. Do not let them hold you back. Respect them for saying, I'm exhausted, I can't think, and I don't want this responsibility, this is too much. You want to park yourself with them? You end the game. Because you are on the precipice of going into a much, much bigger vista. And many of the people around you that are scared and resistant, they psychically know this. And they know that it's too much for them. Does that make sense, people?
Yes.
Good. So have some compassion for those who halt the journey. They've hiked as far as they can, but do not stop to think, because they are stopping, I am stopping. Often, as you have the courage to go ahead, those that you think you left behind, they admire you and eventually catch up. All right? And believe us when we say everyone's going to be doing a lot of catching up by the end of the year. The level of discussion is going to get way beyond inflated or deflated balls. You get that? Not even laughing. All right. Who has a question? Who has a question? Yeah.
Rachel?
Rachel, yes.
You were talking about Saturn, and as Saturn moves into Sagittarius.
Yes.
I think of Sagittarius also related to dogma and...
Dogma, religious power,
right.
Sports, way more sports scandals. The sports field are going to be exposed for a lot of hidden sexual stuff, and you are going to find in sports that a lot of the players are not human. Artie Intels. You've had Artie Intels on the sports field for a while. Ah, yes, that will be a shock. But nonetheless, what else, Rachel?
I was thinking that, as Saturn moves into Sagittarius, Uranus is in Aries still.
Yes.
And I was feeling that would pack a little bit more punch to the Saturn transit, with Saturn squaring Neptune, and Neptune in the sign which often deals with martyr, victim, and then with Saturn in the sign of religion and the higher mind, and then Uranus could be on a certain level like the liberation of known conditions. So
it's definitely the liberator, and you are on again Jupiter in Virgo, activating higher mind, big opportunity with higher mind. As long as you brush your teeth and cut your hair, take a shower. You skip the maintenance, whether it's mowing the lawn, shoveling the snow, or taking care of self. You're not going to get in higher mind. So. But also Uranus in Aries is a lot of angry people picking up their spears and not knowing what to do, so they do the childish thing. Let's kill. And this is very potential, big potential in this country. In this country, US of A, you are in still, astrologically speaking, Pluto, 13 degrees, directly opposite the USA sun. Ouch. It means that when the crunchies start to occur now and unfold, there are people who have all manner of agendas, and you have great potential in this country for a military takeover. It's already been in the works, and we did say early in the season that it is a probability, summer, autumn, that someone would come on US TV and say, we have arrested people for treason, please stay calm, there's been this and this and this. This is Pluto opposite USA sun. Big fights inside as to stick with the Constitution or to have this very, very dark takeover where no one is even sure anymore who is human and who just looks like human. This is on the insider ranks in lots of places around the world. So big turmoil. So people could respond, yes, higher mind, taking it to a new innovation, but you're going to have an element that's going to get scared. You follow this? This is what we want you to counter. I am fine. I am grounded. And the more you stay calm in the midst of this, you help stabilize things. There are some who want people to get to the streets. Look at all the police shooting and all this stuff. But a lot of it is set up. It is set up to create agitation, to create racial discord, to separate the races. You have all this chopping of human body parts to arrange people so no one knows who's a man, who's a woman, and to create then the race wars, the sex wars. Then you can't figure anything out because you're all blaming one another. You see how it goes? And then if you text each other, no one looks anyone in the eyes, so no one knows who is real and who is not. It's good though. You'll make it through it. It's not the end of the world. It's a big shake-up. Oh yes. Now, you know, Sparky picked the title Impeccable Timing. And she picked it for good reason. Psychic pick. But this is, if you can accept it. If you can accept, friends, that there's forces in existence. Don't label them. Don't call them light beings or whatever. Just accept that there's good forces, truly good forces, that will match your goodness, that will help you navigate through these times with grace and ease, using your blessed, incomparable, irreplaceable biological computer, your body, that is being fine-tuned and upgraded if you would be seated. Everybody get this?
Yeah.
How important this is? Or who else has a question?
Mika?
Mika, yes. Welcome.
I've had encounters with beings who appear to be human and then disappear in front of me. And I'm wondering, besides just recognizing for what it is, or just making the discernment of what being you're dealing with, is there anything else you would suggest we know about?
All right, so you had a human being appear in front of you?
Well, somebody that's human in my life who has 3 times disappeared while I'm looking at it. And I'm wondering...
We are not following what you're asking at all.
I'm wondering, besides discernment, if you encounter other beings that appear to be human but are not.
Make an agreement with your body that if you ever are in danger, whether it is a lion at the end of the driveway that you haven't noticed, or some energies that would come around in the sleep state or the dream state, or non-physical, or beings that pop in, that your body's amygdala, fear center, will activate and let you know. Otherwise, you will be fine. So that you make this agreement of how to use the body. Body, I want you to let me know by running my adrenaline and giving me the creep factor if there's any time when I really need to be scared.
Thank you.
So you see now, her answer is an answer that we can give to all people. Use your own creativity and learn to make an agreement with your body that you can say, body, I had no idea that it was my job to love you. It was my job to really become friends with you, to stop criticizing you or depriving you or denigrating you. I love you. This is what I would like you to do. Heal effortlessly for me and give me pre-warning for this. Always put me in the right place at the right time, effortlessly guided, so that my life improves in ever greater measure of wonder.
Wonderful.
Your body loves to be talked to like that. Do you get that?
Okay.
Treat your body as if you would treat the best partner, lover that you've ever had. That kind of energy, respect, without obsessing, is what fuels the cells. The cells say, finally, finally, we're getting some attention here. And if you support them with nutrition, sleep. Sleep is very important. If you're going to deprive yourself of sleep, you are going to shorten your lifespan, you're going to fog up your brain. You are all in danger of brain fog from Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi destroys the auric field, and then these chemtrails and many other things destroy the clarity of mind. So nutrition-wise, again, sunlight, you want spirulina, chlorella, some real foods that feed your cells. Of course, the body needs, again, the vitamin D from sunlight, Iodine keeps everything in balance, so a few drops of iodine a day. Magnesium, many people are completely depleted from magnesium, so you have heart problems, you have cramps, the body shuts down, the circulation shuts down, you're nervous wrecks. Take your clothes off and take a good look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a fair grading and say, am I in good shape or am I a mess? Not so much the age, but it's how you are maintaining yourself at the age you are. Is your car a mess, or have you taken it to the wash? Have you had it waxed? Is it vacuumed? Do you do that to your body? Absolutely, we cannot emphasize it enough. Because if you miss that step, it's kapui. Questions? Miles?
Miles?
Yes.
I heard you mention in the past that there are some people that hold office in government that are humans, but they're not humans like we are humans. And I wanted to see if you could go farther on that, about the difference between our type of human and their type, and do they have the ability to change form and things like that? Do they have a special DNA?
Well, it's been known for a long time, at least many, many decades, that secret government in what you would call the pentagon is it called, whatever, 5 sides there, they have had guests. And the guests have come voluntarily, and they look entirely human, except if they want to disappear, they disappear. So for the young gentleman that was here this morning, he's missing this part. Can you disappear? Yes, but you not necessarily accidentally, unless someone wants to vacuum you up in a portal. And we would say this: there's lots of buzz about young men being taken, snatched. It looks like for their DNA. There's lots of very, very bizarre things occurring now, especially in the woodlands, in the national forests, and the governments know this. This is why the next stage is, in the next year or two, they're going to find one reason or another to close down the big national parks and forests that were set up generally by the Roosevelt family from Teddy onward. So, where were we now?
The difference between our type of human and theirs being different than ours.
It is something that, let's say there are forces who can project or create a biological comparison. It is almost as if it's an outfit that they step into, except it is not wires, RT Intel, as you would think. It would be biological, and that a form of intelligence would simply merge its intelligence with the biological body. It would simply be a vehicle, and it would not want to create a lot of waves, so it would be a blender inner, except that the person occupying it would be able to do things with their mind that you humans cannot do now, because you are more embedded in your bodies than they are. They would be using a body to be here. Do you understand the difference? Yet, if the body were to die, it would depend. It could be set up so that it would simply deteriorate like a human body, but there's been some weird things where the body is simply vacated, and then within a short amount of time, the body almost turns to carbon. So your scientifics have been scared, the military's been befuddled. Here's why. Because they themselves are not operating with consciousness, and they are often operating with secrecy, greed, hiding things from the public, secret societies, power, and so the entities that they attract trick them. Now, there's been lots of good beings, some from the Pleiades, some from many other places, who have stepped in over the years and said, hey, if you start telling the truth and if you use these technologies to heal people, etc., we'll help you out. And they have been, by the greedy humans, refused. it's not so much the humans are greedy, they are possessed by entities that run them, that make them appear. It's because the humans, you don't know how to be in charge of your body. That's your biggest weakness. You're not comfortable being in charge. Who has a question?
This is Samantha.
Samantha, welcome.
Welcome to you. Thanks for coming back.
Our pleasure.
I'm really excited about the microbes in my gut and also all the microbes that are in my compost pile. I think about them a lot and feed them. And I'm really curious more about that connection of healing.
Yes.
Because our gut is our center of our emotions.
Yes.
And so emotions affect our health. But
absolutely.
How do those guys work together, emotions and our microbes? And in the world, too.
So the microbes, you understand now, this you are referring to microbes or probiotics, which would be a new revelation of people saying, oh, you mean all these little things that we thought were nasty and bad, we need them to get smarter. And you mean that once they smarten up the belly and the brain that looks just like the brain, we think better, we don't have brain fog? Yes. So these microbes outsmart the nanobots. And they are sort of an antidote to the invasion of meds and machines. And so the microbes are very psychic. They know how you feel. They read your feelings. So that if you are worried, then it sort of makes them weaker. And just as if you know if you eat too many foods that are high in acid, it weakens them or destroys them. If you eat more fresh foods and nutrition and hydrate, they thrive. They literally read who you are, so that you will find some of the most worrisome, sickest people have the worst gut bacteria. And they have the most digestive problems, and many of your problems start here in the digestivo area, which would be the other brain, improper thinking, which is improper decisions. So, the more you understand soil, the microbes are in the soil, part of what's missing is that now everyone's into making kombucha, drinking, having fermented foods. Oh, this is all a lot of fun because you're getting the probiotics back in. But how about talking to the microbiotic beings that live in the soil, that are starving for attention, you would call water. But just as you are learning how to put what's needed in your body to boost its immunity, the microbes in the soil are waiting for you to call them back. When they feel your emotion that you want them, they help bring the rain. Understand, birds help bring the rain. Nature helps bring the rain. Nature in California is getting the message that all of your trends and your monies and this is more important than the glory of this state, which is one of the most beautiful states in the US of A. You understand, people? You know, the natives would get out and do their ceremonies. You need to show more respect for your state. Welcome, welcome the snows, and feel what the creatures are missing, because the creatures, they are dying, yes, but they migrate. The creatures know to migrate to a probable reality that sustains them. Humans are learning how to do this. Anything else, Samantha?
Well, I've actually had that experience where I've been feeding the microbes, and I do talk to them.
Yes.
I mulch a lot, and instead of burning
yes.
our extra, I've been chipping it, and I've been tracking the rain. And my neighbor doesn't; she clears everything, and I get more rain than she does, and she just lives a mile away. And
this is how it works.
Yeah.
This is exactly how it works. One person's doing the gratitude, practical understanding, And then the elements and the land says, oh, finally, we'll all work it. And someone won over is skipping something, or they're too much on the electronics, which really, we cannot emphasize this enough. The electronics are cooking and destroying your world. Wi-Fi's not just destroying you, it's destroying everything. It's messing up all the creatures. Do you get this?
Yeah.
Your pets, your animals, your birds, your everything. They don't know where to go. It's not making them comfortable. It's making the creatures in the waters uncomfortable. And every creature has a role in making the living library function. So keep up the good work, Samantha. Sparky, how much time do we have?
11 minutes.
11. Oh, plenty of time, folks. Who else has a question, comment?
Please, this is Nicole.
Nicole, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Our pleasure.
I just was hoping that you would maybe elaborate on what was said earlier about humans being herded into corridors and being taken off the land.
Yes.
Because it was as if it sounded like the Anunnaki needed the land so that they would put all the humans in a little certain spot.
It's a plan, yes, it's one of the agendas to, if you were a cattle rancher and your domicile was in space and you were looking down at North America, it would be easier for you to manage your cattle if they were in one section or 2 or 3 sections rather than spread hither and yonder. You follow? In many ways, friends, there's a big roundup taking place. And you are being rounded up, you are being assessed slowly. Remember, 50 years to the Anunnaki is not a big deal. It's, for many of you, a lifetime or good halfway through. So we will elaborate. Again, about 1990-92, they come up with this Agenda 21, redistribution of land. Government takes over lands, takes over waterways, and then perhaps 10 years ago, you have the megalopolis concept, where there will be perhaps 11 or 12 urban areas in the USA where everything will occur. That would mean water systems, police, fire, infrastructure, food, shipping, this kind of thing. Outside that system, if things break down, there's no services allowed. So they will set it up, at least this is a probable agenda they have, and this is what the Pope is going to encourage people to share with everyone, to take care of the poor. So what if they don't want to work? You must take care of your brother and lift them up. You've got a lot of lazy people on the planet today. Lots. Lots. Are you going to save them all? This is the big question. How are you going to deal with it? Because the agenda by the Anunnaki is to reduce the American experiment. The American experiment is Enki's experiment. It's called the New Atlantis, and it is an experiment in freedom. Travel around the world. No one has the freedoms that you have. So to create a desire to get everyone to move into these 11, 12 cities, there would be jobs. There would be lots of Disneylands. There would be parks. There would be water. There would be trendy cafes and foods and all coffees and manner of things that people would want to run to say, I live in the best. And you would live then for a while, and then after a while you would feel trapped. You would be in a frequency prison. They have a TV show, it's called The Dome or something, where people are stuck inside something. And then the idea is that you would not run any of your electronics, they would be run for you. You would simply be living in one of these Jetson cities, and then after a while you would find that they would say to you, oh, everything out there is so slow, we are going to put chips inside of you to accelerate your learning and make you smarter, and then that's toast. But you are chipped already. If you own a cell phone, you are chipped. Because if they want to kill you, they send a signal instantly. And you are killing yourself because even when the cell phone is off, the electromagnetic pollution, the radiation, is slowly creating tumors in your body, slowly shutting things down. So, all of this has got to come to confrontation. Either humans recognizing that they've been fleeced, or some sort of big turnover. And of course, there's all manner of ways in which this can occur. If enough of you want to be autonomous, then you will create a probability connected to the creative force that has nothing to do with the Anunnaki, prime creator. The creator of all things is what you have direct contact with. Use it. Who has a question, please?
This is Catherine.
Catherine, yes.
Yes, we talked, years ago about before the 2012 vortex.
About?
We talked before the 2012 vortex that there could be that the nuclear detonations were stopped because the nanosecond was allowed to happen within existence.
Yes, it is true that there were many nuclear goes that were given in the nano years, including by Obama. And either human element and even some human element designed as ET said no, and or other forces shut it down. Fuku, it was a sneak by. What's your question?
Well, my question was, now that we've gone beyond 2012, and I presume we don't...
It's game open.
Protection.
It's game open now.
Game open.
Because there's a big lather that's being built up by many religious devotees that they believe that the second coming is going to happen tomorrow. Not literally, but almost. And that this is what this lifetime is about. And it's imminent, and it's unfolding. And how fortunate that out of all the times I'm alive, I am alive for the second coming. And so what, this is a big thought form now, so what if the sign of the second coming is preceded by the nuclear destruction of what you call Armageddon, but it is actually Armaggedio, a location that got switched in name to become a word, Armageddon, world destruction, but really is a bastardization of Persia bombing a physical location, which to the Anunnaki would mean bingo, nuclear detonation, blows open the timelines, new era of Anunnaki rulership begins. It's a high probability that this will occur in 17, because it would be 72 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What else, Catherine?
Well, I wondered, did they learn nothing, or is it from the release of the evil winds?
It's not been that long for them. It's only been a few years. Here's the advantage that you have. What's been a few years, a few cycles of what they call celestial time? Remember, there are a number of types of time. There's earthly time, 365 days a year. There is cosmic time. What is it? That is the 3,600 year cycle. Then there's celestial time. Celestial is the processional cycle. So what's 2,000 years to these beings when they live, some of them millions? Did they learn their lessons? This is where you are at an advantage. You have these quick lifetimes, you go through them, but as you exit your life, whether you exit young, whether you exit older, if you live at least 12 years, you're going to have big processing that occurs. And you have the ability to gain greater meaning because you have more experience in some regard. In some regard, these Anunnaki live longer, but they learn slower on the spiritual evolution. But they may be 1,000,000 years in advance with technologies. So this is the conundrum, and some of the Anunnaki understand, as we've said 25 years ago, that you are here to liberate the gods, with little g. You are here to free them by not needing them, by outthinking them, outsmarting them, and showing them the way through their problems. And now you've reached that point. And of course you're all scared, because they're going to be reptiles and bigger, and they might appear and disappear. Many of these visitors are very giant in stature. We've always said, big ships, big beings. Let's remember that. Anything else, Catherine?
That was really primarily it, because I thought that they had a thing where they knew that the flood was natural, but the release of the evil winds was a moral question for them. And so that's one of the things I was wondering.
I understand, in order to facilitate your ability to claim your power and to free yourself from the Anunnaki, let's say, colonization, in order for all of this to occur in a cooperative, supportive multiverse, other aspects of their colonies are in massive mutiny. So they are scrambling everywhere. So they are making mistakes and doing not so smart things. That's what you are up against. And it's a dark night of the soul kind of thing. Not everyone's going to weave their way through it, which many of you will raise the level of possibility and awareness for others. Who else has a question?
This is Rachel.
Yes, Rachel.
You know,
a little louder, please.
We've been talking about, you know, going into nature and how that's very nourishing. And for me, being on the Hawaiian Islands and the last time I was in Kauai, it was very disheartening for me. There's the Navy's doing a really big experimentation. They built these new towers on the North Shore, and they've been sending these millimeter microwaves into the ocean, and bouncing it off, and then these submarines catch it, and then they, you know, there's a lot of experimentation.
There's a sub ocean war going on because it has been for a number of years. It's a sort of secret thing of advanced submarines and technologies against many of various ET bases that are, as we said earlier, not only along the coast of the western USA, from Oregon, Vancouver, perhaps all the way down, as we said, big time around Catalina. Catalina also is an old enclave of giants. It was one of their sacred places there. So there's bases right under the islands. It's been reported over and over again around Catalina. Lots of strange things, people disappearing, boats disappearing. Same around the Hawaii Islands, which are also being inundated with radiation, as is the entirety of the western coast. Can you outrun the radiation? We did hear the beeper, so we know we are on the home stretch here. Can you outmanage the radiation? It will eventually deteriorate you, but again, the body, if you are on the cusp of discovering how the body works and making it become less vulnerable, more self-healing, if you can make that leap. Otherwise, people will be afraid, and the fear of the lack of stability in society, what am I going to do about my house, my job, my kids, all of this starts lowering the vibration, weakening the immune system, and then again, the body does not have the chance to raise it. So it's not easy to transmute radiation, and there are forces speeding up dumping cesium plutonium off the California coast, destroying the water to drive people out. Our question is, Californians, what are you going to do about it? How much of the state is really awakened to these kind of agendas? There's plenty of information out there. But lots of people, as Carl said, would rather turn the TV on. It's too complicated to think about. And we would say it's more than complicated to think about. It's the challenge of 1,000 lifetimes that you have put in front of you. How, dear humans, with all your power, are you going to find your way through the obstacle course of this next stage that will challenge you to grow in awareness? Of course, you have the smarts to do it. And of course, if you are clear about what you want, you will attract other forces who respect you, but will play with you and not use you, but support you. This you must come to understand. Offer your blessings. Tonight when you go to sleep, set intentions for the state of California, and let's see if between us we can confound some of the predictions and bring some big water, some sweet water, some nice water, but lots of it without flooding, but just lovely, lovely, lovely activation of rain, water, and the land. And so to complete this afternoon, imagine in the power of your mind, the HARP technology, dismantle it, poof it out of existence. Do what you need to do to shut it down in your mind and reactivate the living library. Call up all the intelligence of the land and the creatures and ask for the creator of all things to help turn this around. That said, impeccable timing, friends, is your gift. Use it. It's been our great pleasure. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
We'll see you again tomorrow.
Yeah.